Now you guys can hear the music. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. Stick with me. Now I have to turn off the music that I started. All right. There we go. We are live. This is live stream number 2 of Calibrated with Scott, huh? Welcome back, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We have a few things to talk about today. I'll start with the map as usual here. All right. So we have, let's go full screen here. We have no significant changes around Avdiivka, no significant changes around Bakhmut. The past week or so, basically, let me see. Basically, Christmas to New Year's, we get very little Frontline news just during the holidays, and this will probably extend into the Russian Orthodox Christmas as well, which is like a week later. So not as much news coming out from the front line. There is movement. Even Syriac came out yesterday and said came out today and said that basically the news will be coming out later this afternoon. So I'll probably make another video this afternoon when that information gets released, or as more information comes out. But over here in the Robitny section, in the salient, I should say, near Verbove, the Ukrainians are now retreating out of here, right? So they're getting out of this salient. They were in a position where the Russians are now, you can't see it here as much, but this area has been pushed in a little bit more. And the Russians are now threatening Robitny and this entire salient down here, right? Because the supply to this area is very difficult. The only way they were keeping it open was basically through infantry rotations, small infantry rotations, keeping the area supplied in that way. They did not have good logistics in here, so now they're pulling out, and this is what the Russians have recaptured. And if you remember, the Surovikin line kind of runs something like this, just to give everybody like a little show and tell here. Kind of like this, down through here, up over here, right? And there was stuff in here, but the Ukrainians captured that. But the major line with the dragon's teeth is all down right through here. That has now been recaptured, basically undoing the majority of the Ukrainian summer gains, which is in this bottom, third of the salient. Everything above that, up to Orikhiv, was basically a security zone. So everything north of Robitny, all of this area that they captured was just the security zone to get to the first line of defense. They entered the first line of defense right here and down over here, but then never progressed further than that. And just so everybody's aware, they, over the entirety of the summer offensive, let's give them from Orikhiv down to Robitny, they went about 10 miles. So whatever that is in kilometers, 17 kilometers or whatever. That was the furthest extent, maybe we say 12 miles, furthest extent of their offensive actions. Their goals were initially Tokmak, which is over double that distance away. And let's see. Let's go here and let's zoom out. And then if you want to talk about the actual major objective of the Ukrainian counteroffensive, Melitopol, which is 53 miles away. So there was basically no chance of anything successful happening here. We knew it. I talked about it for months, but now it's being undone. I think that the primary goal of the Russians right now is to basically undo all of the offensive actions that happened. I don't think they really care about this area as much. I mean, they will probably start pushing in this area again eventually, but undoing this pushing the Ukrainians out of Krinky, which they're still here and they're still getting bombed. There was the reports that something like 6 Su-30s and Su-34s had been shot down in about a week. We only got proof of one of those, and the Russian source, the Russian aviation source fighter bomber, only confirmed one of those planes going down. One of the pilots living, one of the pilots dying, either from ejection or from getting hit. So the bombs never stopped falling here. They continue to fall. That was just, again, propaganda, because the Ukrainians are starting to take serious losses from these FABs, the Orthodox JDAMs. And so they're really starting to hurt in a lot of these areas. Avdiivka, Bakhmut, Krinky, obviously the Robotny salient, and up here in the LPR. The Ukrainians are taking heavy casualties. So they're going to start claiming that they're taking down they're claiming that they're taking down planes, but that's just, we don't have any visual evidence for that. And so we put that into the propaganda category and continue on. There has been some progress by the Russians in this area. I haven't mapped it yet because I don't know what the exact extent of it is. But the Russians are pushing really hard to try to reach this sort of like small dacha settlement in between this railroad and this railroad over here, and this road system. Once they have captured, once they get into here, they'll be able to flank Nova Kalinove, and also over here into Novobakhmutivka. And that Novobakhmutivka is very important because that's where the road is right here. If you can see it, boom, that keeps Berdichi supplied. And that's just very important for the continued ability to keep this pocket open for the Ukrainians, is keeping Novobakhmutivka safe. Once that falls, then you only have one supply line that's already being threatened from this direction. There's just going to be too high of a troop concentration for too low of a supply route, logistics capabilities. So Avdiivka is going to become more and more difficult as the Russians continue to push up here. My prediction on this is actually that the Russians have stopped. They're continuing to assault Avdiivka, but Avdiivka is now a major fixing operation. I think that when the Russians came into this, they had two ideas. Either the Ukrainians were going to, reinforce this salient and stop the massive Russian push that was intended to capture Avdiivka, which basically fixes the entirety of Ukraine's reserve brigades, right? So the reserves that they have for the entire front line now are being moved from the Robotny salient, from Kherson, from Bakhmut, and being brought into Avdiivka, and also being brought up into Kupiansk area to defend these two areas. So I believe that this is now a fixing operation up here. This is a fixing operation right here around Avdiivka. And then the primary focus of the Russians now is going to be around just expanding this Marinka salient, I guess you would call it. Maybe it's not really much of a salient, but this sort of push along this road towards Horivka and Pabieta down here. So I expect Nova Mikhailivka to fall soon. Weeks and months into January, February. And then once Nova Mikhailivka falls and Konstantinivka starts to get threatened, Ugledar is going to be in a very difficult position. And I think this bottom southern area of Donetsk is probably soon to be the main focal point of actual Russian progress. I do believe we're going to continue seeing pushing around Bakhmut, obviously out to this canal right here, up around Chasiv Yar. I cannot believe that this salient is still holding. The amount of manpower that Ukraine is wasting holding this salient, just trying to hold on to, because once this salient falls, I mean, it makes sense that they're holding it. Because once this salient falls, once the Russians have control of this high ground, Ivanivsky is going to be basically pushed in. Excuse, my dogs just came in my room. Sorry. So the Russians are going to continue pushing out towards Bakhmut or Chasiv Yar. And if they get up on this high ground again, like Wagner did, they just have fire control over the roads leading into Ivanivsky, and then any progression on this side. I think the Russians are up in this cemetery now. We just don't have visual confirmation. So this 0506 is now being pushed pretty heavily. That gives them access to the back road as well, right here, that leads into. You can kind of see it. If anybody remembers, this is how the Ukrainians kept the supply going into Bakhmut. It was something like this, and then right into Kromove. And then there was that bridge right here that was always getting destroyed and then rebuilt. So once the Russians push out into this area, Ivanivsky becomes impossible to hold. The Ukrainians are going to be forced to retreat or, again, sit in a salient and lose an extraordinary amount of manpower for no good reason. But yeah, so that's most of the front line today. I just wanted to talk about that. Specifically, the Robotny area is the most important. This is getting pushed in, and the Ukrainians are retreating in this area pretty heavily. So this is the most important update for today. Now let me take us over to my Telegram. Let's see here. Saved. All right. I wanted to go into my saved messages here and just talk to you guys about some of the stuff that I've been seeing, some of the stuff that I wanted to show you and just explain because, you a lot of you guys follow me on Telegram. If you don't, go follow me on Telegram. But I don't always explain because I'm kind of reporting what's going on. So here's confirmation from Syriac of that retreat from Verbove. You can see the defensive lines right here. There's still a small portion of the Surovikin line here that has not been recaptured by the Russians yet. I imagine within the next day, probably today, we'll get reports that this has fallen completely, which means that the entirety of the Ukrainian achievements through the counteroffensive have now basically been undone outside of recapturing Robotny, which is of almost no importance to the Russians. I mean, they probably will try to capture it and even push to Orikhiv up here. But this was the major. This is what they touted as, breaking the line, getting through the first defensive line, through the second defensive line, blah, 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 blah. Never really achieved anything. I've probably seen the most human beings die in this area than any other area throughout the war. I watched a goddamn 6-minute grenade drop video, and it was just all in this trench line right here. And it was just horrible. So very, very, very costly for the Ukrainians. Here's Deep State also confirming. You can see I'm clicking the dates back and forth. You can see here the 29th to the 30th. This is a major pullback from Ukrainian positions. So that's significant. Every source is saying it. I wanted to show. I don't know if you guys saw this video, but this is the video of the X-101 deploying flares. We only got to see the original video. It was kind of edited real small. It was only of this, right? And the video cuts out about right here showing the flares, and you just miss the actual hit, right? So again, here is a perfect example of Ukrainian propaganda and censorship where we got this video and it was edited down so that you did not see the end result of the video, which was the hit on an intended target. And, I'm sure it was a, puppy sanctuary or a maternity hospital or whatever. The Russians never hit anything except very, very sensitive, high propaganda value targets. It's very interesting. Here we have another attack. It's said to be on the Karkush. I'm not going to even try this thermal power plant. I can't geolocate it. Most of these thermal power plants look the same, but as you can see here, at least 1-2 hits on the thermal power plant, which means that Russia has likely started its infrastructure campaign if this is recent. If it's not recent, I don't know what to tell you. I'll play it one more time. It looks recent weather-wise, but we've been in this conflict for 2 years. I've never seen this video before, and I've pretty much seen every missile strike video of this conflict. So I do believe this is new. If anybody wants to be an absolute nerd and go geolocate this for me and figure out where this is so I can actually appropriately comment on it, I would very much appreciate that. I've tried. And I haven't been able to figure it out. So in response to this Russian missile strike, which, Ukraine claimed only targeted civilians, which is just absolutely ridiculous, they decided to respond. And they did that by shelling the Belgorod region with heavy multiple launch rocket systems. The Russians are claiming a vampire system, potentially Adler, but there's no, direct confirmation of that. There was a video. I don't have it on my Telegram. I have it on my Twitter, and I might show it to you guys, of cluster munition noises actually going off. So, the Ukrainians claim that the Christmas market was hit by Russian air defense. The strikes at the market and the strikes in Donetsk do not resemble air defense missiles. The shrapnel indicates an offensive weapon like a heavy MLRS. So I'll just show you these videos. So what you're hearing right here is both air defense, intercepting targets, as well as missiles getting through. This was a massive saturation attack, and I try to explain this to people. Air defense is not supposed to be some foolproof, perfect system. Air defense is a numbers game, right? You're trying to limit the damage that your adversary can inflict on you in a specific attack. It's not supposed to be a 100% interception rate. It's not supposed to be perfect. What it's supposed to do is minimize the damage, right? There's a lot of moving parts. And so people have this idea that, Russian air defense is the best in the world. And you can make an argument definitely that it is. It's the most sophisticated and it performs the best potentially, but it's still not a perfect system. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of the you kind of have to remove yourself from the propaganda aspects of what air defense means and understand that it's just a numbers game. You're just trying to reduce the damage that you're taking every time your enemy fires on you. And the Russians did that. They intercepted a bunch of these, but some still got through. And we had I think the total was 15 people ended up dying in this attack on Belgorod region, which is incredibly interesting because I made a tweet about this and a post about this, and I'll just talk about it for a second. Let's see here. I'll stop screen sharing for just a second. So one of the very interesting things that came out of this little back and forth was that the claim that Russia is a terror state, that they were intentionally targeting civilians. The Russians fired over 160 missiles. According to the Ukrainians themselves, 14 Iskanders made it through, 5 Kinzhals made it through, multiple Garand 2s made it through, a few X-101s made it through, which I mean, from the video we saw, I think that from the video we saw, of the the missiles hitting their targets. I believe that those numbers by the Ukrainians are exaggerated. So in totality, the Ukrainians claim something around 160 missiles and hundreds of drones over the last couple of days. And the civilian casualties, according to the Ukrainian MOD themselves, is 30 to 50 people, right? So you're talking about hundreds of missiles hitting, sensitive targets, hitting thermal power plants, hitting stuff like that, and the collateral damage was 30 to 50 people. The Ukrainians targeted one small area of one small city, right? And they used their MLRS systems. They targeted civilians, and they killed 15 people. They inflicted 50% of the casualties with a minuscule strike compared to what the Russians were, striking with. Iskanders, Kinjals, 500-kilogram warheads, just should have devastating results on civilian casualty numbers. I mean, you could be talking about hundreds with single strikes, right? The Russians are not actively targeting civilians. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not shown anywhere. They'll point to the Mariupol drama theater, or residential buildings getting hit from time to time. But even the one residential building we saw really getting hit by a missile seemed to be a missile that was intercepted over the city. It was already on fire and crashed into the building, or it was an air defense missile, at one of the two, right? So those are the two things we were looking at for. That's just something I wanted to talk about, was the difference in the attacks, right? I'm going to go back to my Telegram now. And this is an event that I wanted to talk about. Right here, we see a HIMARS during its shoot and scoot, I guess you would call it. The HIMARS was tracked to a forest plantation belt, where it was then subsequently targeted by Russian cluster munitions. You'll see it here. Let's see. I'm just going to speed it up just a little bit so you guys can see, because this cluster munition part takes a little while. They hit it multiple times with different cluster munitions. So it's in this area right here. So it's definitely at least getting close to being targeted. You can see how cluster munitions work, though. They're meant to take out huge armor concentrations. They're not super pinpoint accurate, but again, it's in this area right here. So it is being targeted somewhat. And then here is the video of what is claimed to be detonation of either the vehicle burning itself or detonation of ammunition. I believe probably the vehicle burning itself. So potentially right here we could have our first HIMARS destroyed. Right. So, oh wait, is it not showing? Oh, it's not showing. Okay, hold on. Oh, what did I click here? Okay, so there's that. There's that. Can you guys not see the screen? Okay, you can see it. Did you? If you guys can just tell me what's going on. Let's see. Black screen. Okay. Hold on. So if I do this, can you guys see me? Hello. No, you guys can't see me at all. I don't know what happened then. Damn, boys. I don't know what happened. Can you guys see me? Hello? Hello? Oh, you can see me. Okay, you can just see me. All right, perfect. So let me try this again. Sorry, guys. It's my second time streaming, so let's see. All right, can you see that now? Can you see the Telegram? We hear you. Okay. I can see you, but I can't watch the video. Okay, so you guys can see Telegram now? Right here? U plus Telegram. Awesome. Okay, so now if I do this, can you guys just see the Telegram? Dude, I get so many different answers. Let's see. Okay, so you guys can see it. Okay, I'm gonna just continue and hope that it's working. I'll come back in just a second. So I'll replay this video again so you guys can see it. So here's the HIMARS. You can see it launching. It's sped up 1.7 times, so just so we can get through it. Here comes the cluster munitions. The vehicle is in this area right here or right here. Actually can't tell because the aerial vehicle, the drone that's watching, is circling. But again, targeting this general corner right here is the idea. I think it's in this area right here. And again, targeting the area, really saturating this area because they know the HIMARS is in here. The crew has probably abandoned the vehicle at that point, and now you see the vehicle potentially burning and cooking off. And you'll see it right here. Boom, a little explosion. Right. So it's not a for sure thing that they got it, but the chances are high. The full screen video is not playing again. Awesome. I love this. Okay, well, hold on. I'll just do this. I'll go, hold on. Let me do this. Let me link my Telegram real quick so everybody can go watch the video themselves. I'm sorry that the full screen version is not working very well. Ah. All right, here we go. I'll put this in the chat for you guys so you guys can go look at yourself. This is a direct link to that video I just posted. So you guys can go look at that. But yeah, so basically all it is just a video of cluster munitions landing on, actually here, let me see if I can show you guys on my Twitter. Let's see if I can do it that way because I also posted on my Twitter. All right, so can you guys see the videos? I'm curious. I'll just let it play through a little bit. Okay, there we go. Figured it out, boys. Figured it out. And girls, potentially. Boys and girls. Figured it out. Figured it out. So, yeah. So here we see again, getting targeted. It's somewhere in this area right here. It's going to be targeted three times by 3 different cluster munitions. And let's see. So it's in this area. And then here's the video afterwards, wait, is this one more cluster munitions? Never mind. One more cluster munitions. And then the next part of the video is you'll see the vehicle cooking off. Yeah, I know it's mostly boys, but we got to be inclusive. It's hard to find girls that want to talk about Ukraine and HIMARS being destroyed and stuff like that. But here you can see the vehicle cooking off, and here you'll see an explosion right there. Boom. Something's burning. I believe that the Russians have finally got a HIMARS. So that's at least one that we can visually, confirm. So it's that's pretty big news. That's interesting. I'm not going to go ahead and say for sure that that's exactly what happened, but it does appear that a HIMARS was destroyed. I also wanted to talk about this. This is interesting and just kind of neat. We have a video now of a Ukrainian unmanned surface vessel around Crimea, probably with a S-8 like helicopter unguided rocket pod on top of it, just randomly firing unguided rockets in the general direction of possibly a ship. This has got to be the single most inaccurate system I have probably ever seen in my entire life. So this is just goofy to me. I think it's kind of funny, just watching these missiles go flying to middle of nowhere. But yeah, so the Ukrainians are still trying. They're still being innovative. Grenade drops, can't show that. Another interesting thing we saw happen was a Shahad 101 fluid. Oh, that's not great. We might want to hit them with air defense doing, but oh, and then here's the civilian shelling of Donetsk that also occurred in retaliation to different strikes. The Russians seem to target military targets for the most part, outside of Ukrainian propaganda claims or dual use infrastructure targets, and the Ukrainians just target shopping centers and Christmas gathering areas. Here looks like a wedding or a dinner. Civilian buildings getting hit. People of Donetsk are used to it. It's nothing new, right? This is what's been going on for years. It's why they're joining the Russian Federation instead of staying with Ukraine. And here you go. It looks almost identical to some sort of Grad style rocket. So just more war crimes. That's all that is. But other than that, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. Sort of a short stream, but a good one. So let me bring it back over here. If you guys want to follow my work more closely, you can do so on Telegram and Twitter. Those are the two places where I post all the time, every day. I'm going to do these live streams a lot more often. I like this method a lot more, where it's just kind of relaxed and I'm kind of just going over what I post and what I see and talking about it. I feel like it's much more applicable and inviting. So I will be doing this probably almost daily now. I really, really do enjoy this. So get ready for these live streams daily. I will still be making videos from time to time, especially when I do interviews. I'll probably do pre-recorded. Yeah, and I will try to make the stream 1080p. I have to upgrade my StreamYard. I have to like subscribe to a thing, so I'll end up doing that. I just wanted to test it out before I got it, so the resolution will get better, and this little thing up in the top corner where it says StreamYard, the little watermark thing, will be gone. So yeah. I will see you guys on the next live stream, or in the next video, or on Twitter, or on Telegram, or on my Patreon. Go ask questions. If you guys leave super thanks or anything like that, and you have questions that you want answered on stream, feel free to do that, and I'll get to those. And if I don't, make sure you message me somewhere. I'm very accessible everywhere. So just communicate. Thank you, everybody, and have a great New Year's. Happy New Year's.